What's up guys, it's Paraly5er here. Welcome to another grounded video. Today we're going to be doing another tier list. I'm going to be ranking all of the melee weapons in the game. I want to be very clear that this is my opinion. I have ranked these in videos that go into specific details on which is factually the best weapon in each tier. This is just what I use and what I like in the game. As always, thanks so much to the person who put this tier list together. I actually didn't make this. If there's any weapons missing, I apologise. Hopefully I'll notice, but I don't think there's any that I can see that are missing. Right, we're going to go from tier 1 weapons, then to tier 2, then to tier 3, of course. So, the first tier 1 weapon we have is the Lava Blade. Obviously, I'll only be ranking the weapons within their own tiers. So I'm not comparing a Lava Blade to a Club of the Mother Demon, for example. I'm comparing the Lava Blade to all other tier 1 weapons. For me, the Lava Blade is an A tier 1 weapon, I think. You have to kill lavas to get it, which is a bit annoying. But it has a good poison effect, which can be used even late on in the game in Grounded for poison builds. So I'd say it's a solid A tier. Next we have the Pebblet Spear. This is B tier, I think. It's very mediocre. It's very good for killing the ants early on. But other than that, I'm not a huge fan of spears. I know a lot of people in the comments seem to like spears a lot with the Javelineer mutation. Obviously, when you're using this, you probably won't have the Javelineer mutation because you'll be at the very start of the game. Next, we have the Axe. This is probably a C tier. The Axe isn't a good weapon at all. I only really use the Pebble Axe for killing Bombardiers. Other than that, I don't really use it to kill anything. I'm going to put the Shovel in D tier. You shouldn't be using the shovel to kill anything. Same with the hammer. I'm actually going to put the hammer in D tier. I actually prefer using the axe, even to kill like the robots and stuff, rather than the hammer. I'm not a fan of the hammer at all. The dagger used to be like an A tier weapon until they nerfed coup de grace. Now it's probably more of a C tier weapon. It's good if you're underwater. It's the best underwater tier 1 weapon. They used to be so much better when coup de grace procced more often. Now it's a 1 in 20 with the coup de grace tier 2. It's just not worth it. Spiky Sprig is the S tier of tier 1 weapons. It's the best tier 1 weapon there is, both statistically and what I like to use. It does a lot of damage. You can one combo a lot of enemies with this thing. Definitely worth using. I'm just Black Ant Shovel D tier. Like, if you're a shovel, you're in D tier. Stinger Spear is a solid A tier. It's a very good spear, and I really like the special effect of increasing your crit hit chance. I think it's amazing. Very, very good weapon. Bone Trident's a D tier because you just craft the Stinger Spear, and it's the same statistics, except from the fact that it has an increased crit hit chance. So don't ever use the Bone Trident. Just go straight for the Stinger Spear. It makes no sense. Bone Dagger's probably like a C. Actually, we'll put it in a B tier. It's slightly better than the Pebble one. It has more utility around the map as well. You can break down like weeds and stuff with it to get like tier 2. You can break down weeds to get to milk molars underwater before you've even got a tier 2 hammer. So it's pretty useful in that sense, I guess. Red Ant Club's S tier. I love this weapon. It's one of my favorite weapons in the game. Black Ant Sword is also S tier. They're both amazing weapons. They're both very easy to craft. Very, very strong against all enemies, and you just have to use them. Like, especially the Red Ant Club, it's so easy to get at the start of the game. It's insane. Like, you can just get it off spawn. Mosquito Needle, for me, this is probably a C tier. If I want to kill something with stabbing damage, I'll use the Stinger Spear. I'm not going to use the Mosquito Needle. I know it has lifesteal, but I'm not a huge fan of it. I'd rather just heal with smoothies. Plus, it actually does less damage than the Bone Trident and the Stinger Spear for some reason, because of the lifesteal, I assume. Next, we have the Insect Axe. This is a solid B. It's much stronger than the tier 1 axe. I know it's obviously a different tier of weapon, but it's very, very good. Insect Hammer's going to go in B for the same reason. C, actually. I hate this thing as a weapon. I don't like hammers as weapons at all, but it's a tier above just because you can use it to collect molars and quartzite and other sorts of stuff like that. Club of the Mother Demon, S. This is the best weapon in the game. If you're not using it, you're doing it wrong. It's just amazing as a tier 3 weapon. There's no debates here. It destroys everything, especially with Apex Predator. Tick Maka Waka Waka Woowa. This is a D. I don't really like the lifesteal weapons. Some people, I'm going to put the Mosquito Needle here as well, preemptively. Some people really like the lifesteal weapons in the game. Personally, I'd rather just carry smoothies, because I'm perfect blocking a majority of attacks anyway, so I don't really need the lifesteal effect because I'm full health most of the time. And if I'm not full health, I've got a bandage going, healing me up anyway. So I don't really use lifesteal weapons at all. Black Ox Hammer. I'm going to put this in a C tier as well. It's not a very good weapon at all. It can be good against some enemies, like maybe the Black Ox. If you have a salty Black Ox hammer, it can be quite useful there. Or roly-polies, it can also be useful there. But hammers are just not meant to be weapons. The reason it's C tier is because you can use it to collect the Supreme Quartzite and Supreme Marble Rocks, which are very useful in the game, of course. Next, we have the Mint Mace. This is an A tier. It's actually stronger than the Club of the Mother Demon. But because you can equip Apex Predator with the Club of the Mother Demon, that technically means the club's better. But this weapon is amazing. Obviously, you can only use it in one element, which is fresh. And it's been in the game for the longest of any tier 3 weapon. It's very, very good. Definitely an A tier for me. Next, we have the Sour Battle Axe, or whatever it's called. I haven't actually used this weapon too much. So maybe someone in the comments can tell me if they like it or not. Personally, I'm going to have to put this in a C because it's sour. There's almost no enemies in the game weak to... Actually, B. There's almost no enemies in the game weak to sour, but when you're doing the final mixer, all of those orc enemies are weak to sour, so you can use this weapon to kill all of them very easily. So for that reason, it's actually a pretty good weapon. It's going to go in B tier for me. The Antlion Greatsword is next. This is probably a C tier weapon. It's just not good. It's very easy to get because it's one of the first tier 3 weapons you get, but it's just... It doesn't do much for me, you know what I mean? It's a two-handed slashing weapon. It's very unique in that sense, and I'm not a fan of it personally, so it's going to have to go C. Next, we have the Fire Ant Club. I'm actually going to put this in B tier as well. This is a very good alternative if you haven't got the Club of the Mother Demon and you're scared to fight the Broodmother for some reason. You can get this club, and it's very, very strong also. It's ranked 3rd in my best salty weapon video, so it's actually really strong. I'd highly recommend you use this, actually. The Salt Morningstar is probably a B tier. It's a one-handed weapon, which some people in the comments will really like. Personally, I don't really like it because it's a one-handed weapon. It means it doesn't do anywhere near as much damage. You're much better off with a salty Club of the Mother Demon. The Salt Morningstar isn't that good. I'm not a huge fan of it, so it's definitely a B tier weapon for me. Next, we have the Termite Axe. I'll put this in B as well with the Insect Axe. It's very good if you're wanting to kill certain enemies. It could be good for collecting tier 3 resources like burrs and lint and pupa, of course. So, for that reason, it can't go any lower than a B. It's very, very useful in progressing in the game. And it can actually be used against a few enemies like the mosquitoes as a good weapon. The Widow Dagger, D. The reason this is D is because of the drop rates of the Black Widow more than anything else. This thing costs 4 Super Spider Venom to get. I had to kill 8 Black Widows on my world to get 4 Super Spider Venom. 8. Do you know how long it took? I had to kill 4, then I had to wait for them all to respawn again, and only 3 of them respawned, and then I had to wait for them all to respawn again. It took like 20 in-game days to get this silly dagger. It's not very good in terms of damage. It's only useful for a couple of tier 3 things you have to break, like Pond Moss. And it just doesn't do it for me. It's just annoying to craft. So it's got to be a D tier for me because I hate getting this thing. You can get lucky and get enough venom for it from 2 Black Widows, or you can get unlucky and you would never have enough venom ever because the Black Widow has a chance to drop 0 venom. The Toenail Scimitar. I think this is a C tier. It has like an infection that reduces enemy defense when you're hitting with it. So it can be really good if you're playing 4-player and one person's running this. One person might be running something like the Rusty Spear. And you can stack those effects, I would assume, so that the enemy defense gets massively lowered over time. So this will be a C tier weapon for me. Next we have the Rusty Spear. I'm actually going to put this in A tier. I really like the Rusty Spear. Obviously it's in with the Stinger Spear, but the reason I really like this is the infection that it gives. And it's really good against spiny water fleas and any other underwater enemy. The fact you can use this underwater makes it so much more useful. Once I get to the late game of Grounded, this is my go-to underwater weapon. I know the underwater area of the game isn't hard, but this thing just one-taps everything. It's amazing. Next, we have the Scythe of Blossoms. Now, I'm going to put this in C tier. It can be used as an axe, but by the time you've gotten it, you'll already have a termite axe. So, that's irrelevant. It's a two-handed axe, or two-handed chopping weapon. It also does slashing damage. Once you upgrade it, though, it loses the slashing damage, and it just becomes a chopping weapon. From what I've read from my comments, at least. It's just... The Mantis is really, really difficult, So it's not worth killing the Mantis just to get this weapon. It is a strong weapon. It's probably top 5 strongest weapons in the game right now. But the Club of the Mother Demon is way easier to get and way better in my opinion. So this thing just has to go C because of how hard it is to get. Next we have the Spicy Cortana. Now this used to be an A tier I would say, but it's probably dropped down to a solid B tier now. It's still a good weapon for killing the Broodmother and other spiders, but the Club of the Mother Demon's superior, spicy variation of course, with Apex Predator. This thing also, the reason that I would have put it higher before, they changed the way you get it. You used to just have to pick up the recipe. Now you have to do a whole defense, which is unique. I like it, but it's very difficult and you have to do it very late on in the game, especially if you're on WoW difficulty where the sizzle builds up really quickly. And by the time you've got there, you already have the Club of the Mother Demon. So it's going to be kind of pointless to unlock. You're not going to use it at that point. I'm actually going to do the Pinch Whacker next. I know a lot of people like this. Personally, I'm not a fan. I'm putting it in C tier. I don't really like it at all. It's only got, I think, a 10% chance to electrocute when you're attacking. I know you can get it very early on in the game. But for me, it just doesn't do it. I'm not a huge fan of it. Finally, we have the Prod Smacker. In terms of the melee weapons, this is an A tier. It's not the best weapon in the game, but it's very good if you use it with Black Ox armor. You can guaranteed stun stuff with charged attacks non-stop, making it easy to roll over every enemy. The reason it's not quite S is because some enemies it doesn't work against. I tried the build against the Mantis, and the Mantis attacks too quickly, so you can't just infinitely stun it. But it does work against most enemies, so for me, it is an A tier weapon. Also, you can't make it elemental, which does mean you can't do that extra bonus weakness damage, which is a bit annoying. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully, you don't disagree with me too much. You know, try and keep it nice in the comments. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like on it. Feel free to share your opinions in the comments down below. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next Grounded video. Have a great rest of your day.